So Minnesota Wild, things are somewhat positive of late. Like, at least we're winning games, but if you went on X, the everything platform, you probably wouldn't understand that things are going well because no one seems to act that way.
Yeah, I mean 6-3 won their last 10. It's very fun the last few games that they've scored 3 goals very quickly and then they just don't score again until the end of the game with the empty netter. It's like we're gonna get all the offense out of the way real early. And they were just gonna muck it up for a little bit. PK is still gonna be like pretty shitty. But like this, it is still, I mean, like we could talk about this every week and it will only become more and more like applicable. This injury shit is unbelievable. I actually cannot believe that like it started pretty early on in the year where just a couple of very important players went down, and at no point has it got any better. It's just like randomly these other just injuries are coming up out of nowhere. Guys are getting sick. Like it's insane to me, like how many games so many of these players have missed. And I was worried about Marco Rossi, obviously taking that shot off the inside of his knee. Iron Man streak continues though, doesn't miss a game, comes back, scores. It's crazy. The guys don't get it, but like again, the fact that they're still, what are they? What's their overall record? They've won 40 of 70 games this year. Again, the last 10, they're 6-3-1. Couple home wins, thank God. They're now above 500 at home, which is always nice. But yeah, I mean, realistically, especially when you consider how many very important players have been missing for this long. And at one point, the offense, or I mean, even still, like the last few games has been better, but the offense is just anemic. Like they get almost nothing so often. It is unbelievably impressive that they are maintaining like a 600 point percentage. Like it's crazy. And I think this is on the outline. Filip Gustavsson. What a fucking find he was a couple of years ago. Like he's just put them on his back so many games, even games where they weren't scoring. Like he was keeping them in a lot of those times too. So he's been unbelievable.
How many fans have falsely claimed that they were like through and through Gus backers? Like, had to have been a minimum 83% of fans that wanted him absolutely gone, which he almost was. Weirdly enough, with a trade that would have pretty much ruined our season. So glad that didn't go through. But everyone needs to just apologize to Phil Gustafsson, who right next to Faber, our best player.
From start to finish, yeah. I mean, like, it's crazy. But, and like, a lot of games hasn't been great, but like, especially lately, we have to appreciate some of these plays that John Merrill's made lately. Like, he had a big tide like save off. That was a ridiculous save off the line the other day. But he's been fine. And like there's been a bunch of games where he's been like solid. He is one of those players. If you don't notice it, that means he's probably playing well. But like I'll tell you, at no point am I feeling great when him and Bogosian are on the ice together. Like if there's like an extended shift where like they just get hemmed in. I'm like, oh fuck. But Merrill has been fine. He's done his job lately. But I mean, yeah, Phil Gustafsson has been one of, if not the main reason that despite all these injuries, that they're still, again, in the last 10, 6-3-1 and playing relatively well. But the offense is always going to be a concern, though. Like, as Kirill continues to be out, Eriksson, I mean, even like Foligno's missing a couple games now. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. The offense is just going to be a problem, it seems like. Unless they can get healthy.
If we get healthy. Well, let's talk about I guess, the darkest timeline in the room. Joe and Russo have all come out and said that Rossi's gone. Like,
I don't get it. I saw that someone mentioned that on the latest podcast. Russo said something about like it's like an 80% chance.
So I think Joe said like 70% he's gone, 30% he stays, which like Joe's gonna sugarcoat. Russo replied because someone like threw it on to Russo's show and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Joe says 70% chance Rossi's gone." What are your thoughts? And he's like, I think that's conservative. I think it's more likely than that he's gone. It's like, Jesus Christ. So we're back to it, like starting next week. Maybe we'll have to come up with a new trade hypothetical every week to try and help ourselves like cope with the fact that one of our favorite players is probably gone. The easy one to go to, because it's all that Russo seems to want to talk about, is JJ Peterka. Why not reunite Marco Rossi with his boy Jack Quinn?
I just like, I don't like, it just makes no sense to me unless they really just, I mean, well, clearly they,
well, the reason is apparently they're very, very far apart in what his value is. I don't know what those numbers are, but that's all Russo would say, is like they are very far apart with contract offer. So that's why.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, if it is like they are just like it's too much of a gap to bridge, like then fine, I get it. But at the same time, like the fact that you're potentially going to move on the first time you get a top 10 pick that you take on a center, and then the first 2 years that he pops off, he's now surpassed his goal total, assist total, and point total from last year. Is the one guy that stayed healthy, knock on wood, in your top 6 consistently. It's just, and he's super young. Like it's crazy to me at that point. I guess, I mean, we'll see what that trade would even look like. I love JJ Peterka. At the same time, like do you look at like the wings that they have in their top 6? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It also tells me like if you trade him, then you really are banking on like Yurov and Eriksson Ek being your top 2 centers next year.
I do think that the original plan was they were going for Cousins. And how do you pass up what Ottawa?
I mean, what a fucking trade.
Weird. If there was actually something in the works for Rossi and a Cousins swap, I don't know why Buffalo did what they did. That's insane to me. And Cole, to your point, I'm pretty sure Rossi is the only jersey that I've had that anyone else has been on board with. Like, people pretty much shit on Pitlick and on Addison relentlessly. So most fans probably appreciate my jersey curse. But yes, with Rossi in particular, I apologize for when it ultimately happens. Sad. No shit. I didn't know that. Cosgrove, no. Foligno's out.
No, I think I mentioned earlier that because I think I saw he had missed practice or something. I don't know if he was sick or if he actually got. I couldn't remember, but I remember just seeing that he had missed a practice or two. I mean, it is just like the timing of this is crazy to me. Well, I mean, the whole situation with Rossi, all but seemingly out the door. I mean, I'm like very curious as to like what he's asking for. Did they say that he was asking for like 8+?
I'm sure he is, but I also imagine that the Wild are sandbagging hard.
Right. Oh yeah, and like I understand being cautious about like going like 8x8 on Rossi.
Here's the real benchmark. Do you give him more than Boldy?
Right. Yeah, probably not.
Which there's a reasonable argument to be made by Rossi's camp that he deserves more based on like, obviously this is several years later, right? Like the cap's in a different place. The salary cap is way up. I get it, but it's also like, is that where you want to allocate your funds? It's like if he's coming in and asking for like 8.5, 9 million, like, okay, yeah, trade him, Bill. Just make sure you get a reasonable return. But
I do wonder what they would be targeting in that trade too. Like
Rossi plus for Tage Thompson. I mean, not sure. What's the plus? But interested. Although, does he even want to play here? Bill Guerin didn't bring him to Four Nations.
Yeah, true.
Could you see that being like a negotiating tactic though for like this summer when Brock Nelson is up for a contract? He's like, dude, come here on a deal and I'll bring you to Italy.
Guarantee it.
Sign in Colorado, and there's no shot in hell you're on this roster.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, again, like I do understand the Wild not really wanting to go over Boldy's number. At the same time, it's just like you've been looking for that top 6 center that can produce, stay healthy, at his age. So it's like a shitty time, obviously. Now, if like they are at the point now where it's like this, we're not even remotely close on a contract, and he's only wanting to go long term, he's not going to bridge, then obviously, like at that point, you have to, especially when his value is about like pretty close to being as high as you think it might get.
He probably doesn't want to bridge,
right? So I mean, at that point, if you have to make that move, then you do it. And again, you're going to be making that move when his value is super high. But I just wonder what pieces would they be looking to bring back? You know, like I can't imagine there's too many futures related pieces that they would really want. I mean, you have like a pool of players that are coming in. Like there's a good number of guys that be vying for spots next year that aren't even available already. So maybe you do. I don't even know. Like, let's think about this. It's like a shitty scenario where it's like this is like Rossi's the one piece that's like I'm like that's the guy I want here next year. Like,
right.
Perfect age, favorite position. He's producing like.
So I threw out the idea of Buffalo liking to bring Marco Rossi in to play with Jack Quinn. Where did they play together?
Ottawa.
Where's the guy that the Wild wanted to trade for him? Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe make something work there. It's not going to happen.
No. I don't know, man. It's just crazy.
I really wanted Dylan Cousins. I thought that was going to be a thing.
It really is crazy that this.
No, Cole, not Brady Tkachuk.
Assigned ourselves to like just accepting that they're going to move him. It's crazy. Like it really is.
You know what? Like, I'm just accepting it. If it's reached the point where like Russo and Joe are convinced, there's a reason.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah.
I don't want to believe it. And yeah, I guess anyone that hates a player on the Wild, I'll have to give you my address and you can send me whatever jerseys you like. I will do my best.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm going to take my bias out of it, because again, like love Marco Rossi, loved him before they drafted him, was like ecstatic when Buffalo was picking like from the Ottawa 67s, and I was like, fuck. And then they said Jack Quinn. I was like, yes. And then ended up Minnesota. I do understand from their standpoint, like Marco Rossi's overall profile as a player, the fact that like undersized center, not the greatest skater in the world, not the most fleet of foot, like he doesn't scream like point per game player when you like just watch him play. At the same time, like he's now got 22 goals and however many assists. He does profile to me more so as like 60, 70 points. So like just under a point per game. So it's probably like a 2C on a really good team. Yeah. And is he necessarily driving offense? I don't know. So I do understand that point where he's like, I want like first line center money. And you're like, okay, we can't really do that. So I do get it. It's just like, again, my big question is just going to be, what are the pieces that they're going to be targeting? And like, I'd like, because if you're looking at it like it has to be a scenario where you make a move and it fixes your first line center problems for good. Like I don't even know. You're adding pieces at that point. Yeah. And again, like especially now with like the who's gonna be available in free agency and like nervous about like just throwing Brock Nelson a crazy deal. That makes me nervous. And like it also just makes me nervous banking on Yarov and Eriksson being your 1 and 2C next year. Like I don't think that's realistic.
Right.
So I just wonder like what this framework of this deal is going to look like. It could be like a fucking whopper, or it could be like a nothing burger where they just go for picks. I have no idea.
which would suck. I also feel like Guerin's not willing to do that unless those picks are subsequently going to be flipped for something else. But
Right, yeah.
let's go alternate universe and like really just get Wild fans upset. Let's say that draft went the way we expected. And when you heard Ottawa 67s, the Buffalo Sabres did select Marco Rossi. The next 3 centers drafted at 10, Winnipeg Jets take Cole Perfetti. At 12, the Florida Panthers take Anton Lundell. And at 13, the Carolina Hurricanes select Seth Jarvis. Pretty sure we would have had one of those 3 names. Are we happier if that's the case? I mean, one of them is a surefire, like, yeah, you'd rather have him. The other 2, I think, are debatable.
Mm-hmm.
There's also debate around how good would Seth Jarvis be if he was with the Wild, but...
Well, yeah, you could say that about all 3 of them. Like, because even like a guy like Lundell really benefits playing in Florida too.
For sure.
And he's such a fucking perfect fit on his line and just in that team in general.
Yeah.
Where he can kind of play the style that the Panthers like to play, where it's just like I don't even call it north-south. It's north and sometimes south. It's just they are fucking playing downhill for fucking 60 minutes half the games. But he's so fucking good, like just as a two-way centerman. And the fact that like when he stepped in, he could pretty much like really develop his offense and his skill while not sacrificing anything going the other way. Like it's an incredible situation for him too. Like again, like he's a very different. Like I don't know how that would even look here in Minnesota. Who knows? Probably. I mean, he's still nasty. He'd probably still be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could say that about all those players. Like Perfetti like took off like second half last year, and this year he's played really well again.
He also wears a wire.
Yeah, he's a narc. So, I don't know, man. Like, it's so weird to. It's just like we finally got like just the fucking top 6 center who's producing that we've been waiting for, and here we are. But I don't know, man. That's gonna suck when that happens, unless they really pull it off. I mean, like, bucket, like, want to make something happen somehow. Get like Barzal over here, you know, like get someone like, you know, like if you're really going out to like solve that first line center problem. I'll be happy.
I mean, there's a world where you trade for Sidney Crosby, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Except there's not.
Well, we talked about that Malkin thing before. Like, it'd be imagine, dude. It'd be crazy.
Fans would lose their freaking minds, and I would be like the only person excited.
It would be insane. But I don't know. It just fucking really sucks that it's like it's not just it might happen. It's like a no. It's not even a probably. It's like when Russo and Joe are both like resigned to the fact that it's happening. It's just like, God damn it. How do we get here? It sucks. But I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that or like Bill Guerin is just like pissed off at Russo for some reason. And he's already got the contract worked out with Rossi. And he's like, yeah, fuck you. But no, probably.